Is there such a thing as fake healthy? Yes, it's when you have an incredible body but hate your life, or when you look great on the outside but feel terrible on the inside. And there's a way to fix that, and it's easier than you think. There's a way you can actually move from just looking good to feeling good. There's 4 things that I do every morning that help me feel great mentally. When I do these 4 things, I happen to the day instead of letting the day happen to me. So go ahead and watch this video about a morning routine so easy, you'll actually do it. Hi, and welcome to H40 Week 1. I couldn't be more excited for you because you can do this. I know this because when you're committed to something, everything gets easier. But this is where your journey really begins today, because we're gonna start at the core. So as a quick refresher from last week in our intro, let's just take another quick look at the Freedomology framework. So we believe that human beings, we're complicated, we're interconnected, we're multifaceted creatures, you and me. And we're gonna see that as we progress. So when we talk about health, we're not really just gonna talk about a ripped body. It's gonna go much deeper than that. We're talking about true health. So that means a body that lets you do the kinds of things that you want to do. Having an environment that supports our physical and our mental health. And at the core is our minds, the way we think about the world. So let me ask you this, if you have a ripped body, but you're anxious and you have a chaotic mind, do you think you're healthy? Or if you can bench 300 pounds, but you hate yourself, is that healthy? I think when we dig beneath the surface, we're gonna see that our inner life, our mental life is every bit as important to our overall health and quality of life as our physical bodies. That's because your mind is the lens through which you experience life. I'm gonna say that again because I want you to really get that. Your mind is the lens through which you experience life. It's like a filter that's laid over everything that we do. So everything you've ever thought, done, or experienced is filtered through the quality of our mind. And if this lens is dirty, well, you're gonna see dirt everywhere. And I'm sure you've experienced this. Like, I wonder if you've ever just had one of those days where you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and you're just irritable for some reason. Yeah, everything just ticks you off a little bit more than usual. You find yourself only seeing the negative. You might be annoyed with your spouse. You could be looking in the mirror and really hate what you see. Or somebody cuts you off in traffic and you have this flash of anger. These negative moods or funks can have a kind of like a gravity to them. They can pull us down. They can get us stuck in this perpetual motion. That's because what we focus on, well, that expands. If you're taking notes, I really want you to write that down. What you focus on expands. Actually, have you ever heard the story of the pink elephant? So this is super cool. So let me just describe how this idea completely changed my life when I coached a Little League team about 10 years ago. Okay, so me and a buddy, Jordan, were coaching a 12-year-old travel baseball team. And we started the year off really strong. We, I think, won 9 or 10 games in a row. And then we went into this hitting slump. And if you know anything about baseball or softball, then you know that hitting is contagious. So one little hit can spark something where the entire team starts to hit. And then on the other side of that, striking out or grounding out, popping out, flying out, that's also contagious. And that's what we were doing. We lost 5 or 6 games in a row heading into the most important tournament of the season. So I sat down, I picked up the phone, and I called another friend of mine who used to be a hitting instructor, and I explained to him really what was going on with our 12-year-olds. I talked about how we just couldn't get on base, we couldn't score runs, we couldn't even hit the ball. So he let me talk for a few minutes, and then I was waiting for his words of wisdom. I fully expected him to really give me some technical hitting instruction that I could then relay to the team that would sort of get us out of our funk. Like, was he gonna give me some new tip that professional athletes were using just to hit the ball better? Well, no, he didn't. He asked me if I've ever heard the story about the pink elephant, and I just said, no, I hadn't. So then he said at the beginning of spring training almost every year, he gathers as many of his players together as he can, and he reminds them that what they focus on expands. So he would ask them to close their eyes, and I'm gonna ask you to do this right now. I want you to close your eyes with me right now, and then just imagine yourself sitting in your living room watching television. So you're on the couch, imagine that. And then, okay, no matter what, don't think of a pink elephant walking through your front door. Don't think of a little, maybe baby pink elephant sitting on the couch next to you, right? Okay, open your eyes. So did you see that elephant walk in your house? If you're like most people, then you saw exactly what I told you not to see. So he went on to say, and I think this is a big one, that the brain is incapable of actually differentiating between a positive or negative thought, that it's just going to take action on what it thinks about. It will try and bring thoughts to reality. So he basically told me that I need to relay the story of the pink elephant to my team and then explain to them as they're walking up to the plate that I know what they're thinking. What's going through their head is something like, don't strike out, don't strike out, don't strike out, or don't pop out, don't ground out. So they're thinking about what they don't want to do. So get rid of those thoughts completely, wipe them away. The only thought that you need to have in your mind when you're walking to the plate is hit the ball, hit the ball, hit the ball. Because if you're telling yourself not to strike out, then that's probably what's going to happen is you're actually going to strike out. But if you focus on what you actually want to happen in your life, which is hitting the ball, then there's a good chance that the mind will make the body make that happen. And that applies to everything we do in life. What we focus on expands, it grows. That's such a powerful concept. And now you also know that the mind is really incapable of differentiating between a positive or a negative thought. So you want to control that. We know that a mind that gets caught in a storm of negativity is going to see everything as a problem and a reason to complain. It all starts right here in the mind. So before you're going to do your first workout, before you take your first supplement, or really you start your diet, something has to change in your mind. We talked last week about how you need to make a decision to really move from interested to committed. That's a shift that happens in your mind. So in this module, I'm going to share with you the first part of this sprint, which is really designed to help you start to gain mastery over the way we think. Okay, so this routine that I'm going to share with you right now is going to be the foundation. It's going to be like a daily rhythm throughout this sprint and even beyond. Because if you commit to this, if you engage in this practice every day, your life and your outlook on life, your mindset is going to change. I'm talking about something as simple as a morning routine, how you happen to the day. Have you ever had a consistent morning routine? It turns out that something as simple as starting each day the same way can have this profound effect on our mental health and really sense of well-being. If you add some element of self-care into our morning routine, the effects compound even more. So it's going to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. It's going to improve self-acceptance and even improve relationships that we have with others. It's going to help you generate a sense of purpose. So all that from a morning routine, yes, that's exactly what it's going to do. But if you think about it, like, why does it have this effect? For me, it's important to know the why behind things before I start taking action on them. So there's a few things going on when you commit to starting each day the same way. So let's take a look. Let's go deep here. So the first is a sense of autonomy and really a growing appreciation for self-discipline. And this makes sense, right? If you're able to establish and stick to a morning routine, that alone can give you a sense of power and control over our life. You get to start the day on your terms, not just when you have to get out of bed. I used to say I'm just not a morning person, and it turns out that's sort of BS. It's totally up to us. What I actually meant was that I didn't want to acknowledge that I consistently made poor choices, I stayed up too late, and I did things that were unimportant and really made the mornings unpleasant. It turns out that what you believe about yourself, the story you tell yourself about what kind of person you are or are not, that matters. You can be a morning person. You are actually in control. So you need to move from being interested and make a commitment to start getting up consistently. It's really all there is to it. When you do this, your body starts to appreciate the regularity, the consistency. You're gonna find yourself wanting to wake up, ready to go before the alarm even goes off. This is our circadian rhythm falling into place. So ask yourself, when you hit snooze, do you feel refreshed after those 9 extra minutes? Or if you're like me when I was in college and you hit snooze 10 times, Was that extra 90 minutes actually helpful? Or do you still feel just as sluggish when you finally do drag yourself out of bed? Our bodies crave this consistency in our sleep schedule. So do yourself a favor and wake up at the same time every morning. It gets easier the more you do it. As a matter of fact, today I woke up 9 minutes before my alarm went off. I promise this gets easy. Thirdly, it's going to reduce our stress and anxiety. Our brains crave predictability, order. Our brains love to know what to expect. And I think this cuts down the amount of decisions that need to be made and the amount of energy that actually is spent making those decisions. There's actual science around this. It's called decision fatigue. And a regular morning routine reduces decision fatigue dramatically. See, the opposite of knowing what to expect is when we feel anxious. And the more certainty we can sort of bake into our day, the less anxiety that we're going to experience overall. Not to mention the stress that comes from having no margin in our morning. Let's just paint two scenarios and you tell me which one has more anxiety in it. So scenario number one, you wake up at 6:30 in the morning, and yeah, maybe it's hard the first few times, but you do it. You get out of bed right away instead of hitting snooze, and you've got time to activate your body through breath work or exercise. You rehydrate with a big glass of water. You eat a good breakfast. You reflect on your upcoming day, and you think a little bit about your life and what you're grateful for. And maybe you even spend a few minutes meditating to enter this clear headspace. Then you leave for work with plenty of time to beat traffic. You've already been awake for a few hours, so you're alert and energized when you arrive at the office. And really, your plan is to attack the day. Now, scenario two, you're going to sleep till 8:05 in the morning, and you give yourself 5 minutes to throw on some clothes and get in the car. Then maybe you hit the drive-through on your commute and you're pushing the speed limit the whole way so you can get to work on time. Any little setback or slowdown causes your chest to get tight. So much of our stress and anxiety is self-inflicted. I know because I've lived out both of these scenarios, both of these lifestyles. Let me tell you, establishing a morning routine is one simple change. It can make a huge difference in your outlook on life and your mental health. And trust me, when you wake up just a little earlier, you're gonna have improved clarity, energy throughout the entire day. It's a new rhythm, and it might take a little bit of time to adapt, but I've never once worked out first thing in the morning and regretted it, like literally never. If you can manage to get in the habit of getting out of bed when you first wake up, and especially if you can start your day with intention, with some kind of exercise, you're gonna have improved energy, focus, and clarity throughout the day. And if this turns out not to be the case for you, then definitely let us know, because you may be the first. So let me explain the morning routine that you're gonna do for the next 40 days. It's super easy to remember, and it's super easy to follow. You just have to remember ADAM, as in up and Adam. So it stands for activate, drink, appreciate, and meditate. So let's walk through it, because this is going to be a foundation for your next 40 days and beyond. So first is activate. Your body has been in a state of sleep for 7 or 8 hours, hopefully, and the moment you wake up, it's in a different state. So a different physiological state. Your entire central nervous system is coming back online. So we have changes in our endocrine system, our metabolic function, and we really can help it along in this process. So as soon as possible after getting out of bed, we're gonna wanna activate the body in some way. And this is the best way to really combat any feeling of grogginess or brain fog. So what you're gonna do is you wanna try and get exposure to sunlight as soon as possible. There was actually a study done back in 2018 that found exposure to sunlight within the first hour of waking up can help regulate the body's circadian rhythm, so improve alertness and really boost our mood. And if you're like me, living through Ohio winters, sunlight might not always be an option, but we are hardwired for it, which is why a prolonged lack of sunlight exposure can actually lead to various forms of depression. So if you can, crack a window, throw open the blinds, or get outside. Feel the sun on your skin. Your body and mind's gonna completely thank you for it. But if you're like me and you just don't get to see the sun for 4 to 5 months out of the year, you might need to try another strategy. So a super simple way to activate when you first wake up in the morning is just get out of bed and immediately do a set of push-ups or air squats. So depending on your fitness level, you could start with 5 or 10. So a friend of mine, remember Josh, He did this. He started with 10 push-ups on day 1, and then he's been adding just 1 push-up every day. So now he's up to 65 in a row. And you can also try breath work. So guys like Wim Hof and Gary Brecka have actual breath work routines that you might want to try. Or you could just do regular box breathing. So breathe in for 4 seconds, hold it for 4 seconds, then breathe out for 4 seconds, and then repeat. Do 10 to 15 circuits of that. So this kind of focused breath work actually floods our system with oxygen, and it's really going to help us feel alert and awake. It's up to you how you want to do it, but the important thing is that you activate. Our bodies become super dehydrated overnight. A study by Hooper in 2016 found that adults who slept for 8 hours lost about 1% of their body mass just from sweating and breathing. And another study by Benton and Young in 2015 found that a 1 to 2% loss of body mass due to dehydration can impair our cognitive function. It's going to harm our motor coordination. Being properly hydrated is crucial, not just for having energy and feeling good, but for ensuring that our brains are operating properly. And drink water. Don't make coffee the first thing that you put in your body in the morning. You're trying to restore the fluids that you lost throughout the night, and coffee can actually dehydrate you further. So drink 1 to 2 big glasses of water first. I make sure that I drink at least 16 ounces of water within 16 minutes of waking up, and that's what we teach in Adam. It's easy to remember, and it really ensures I'm getting enough fluids back into my body. I'm optimizing my body. I'm helping it regulate itself. And it's also the perfect time for me to take some of my supplements for the day, so I just bake that into my routine. And if you want to take it to the next level, just add some electrolytes to your water. This is going to help your cells rehydrate as quickly as possible and really fuel a morning workout. And some people drink 30 grams of protein within 30 minutes of waking up, and that's good too. But the absolute most important thing is just to give your body back the water it lost overnight. Now appreciate. So the third step, and this is one of my favorite, is to actually engage in some kind of practice that allows us to appreciate all the goodness and beauty in our life. This could be journaling, it could be quiet reflection, it could be a form of prayer, but I think it's profoundly beneficial to cultivate a sense of gratitude, just gratitude for being, for existing, for life itself. If the purpose of a morning routine is to start our day off right, then starting with gratitude, with appreciation, with finding the beauty in everything around us, that is a gift in and of itself. And here's a beautiful question that might help you with this. What's right? I mean, if I ask you what's wrong, you probably have a bunch of answers. Your back hurts, or you have a headache, or you don't want to go into work today. It's typical for us to start the days really thinking about everything wrong in our life. What's wrong with my spouse? What's wrong with the people I love? What's wrong with the people I work with? And then we check our emails and we have all these problems we have to deal with. So it's just so easy to dwell on the negatives. But if what we focus on expands, which we know it does, why do we spend so much time focusing on what's wrong instead of just simply asking ourselves and maybe others, hey, what's right? Let's say you notice that somebody in your immediate family or one of your good friends is slightly off, and you keep asking them, hey, what's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And they keep responding, nothing, 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 because it's typically how it goes. Because what we focus on expands, we're really just helping them focus on everything that could be wrong in their life. And we all have a list of those things, but I'm gonna argue one simple fact right now. Almost all of us, if we made 2 lists side by side of everything that's wrong in our life and then everything that's right, this list, the what's right, would be 10 times the size of everything that's wrong. What we focus on expands, and if you really want to help them and help yourself, then simply build the habit of asking yourself what's right every single day. So start your day there. Think about what's right in your life. What are you grateful for? What do you appreciate? Better yet, can you communicate that to somebody important to you, somebody that you love? It's definitely going to help your mental health and improve your relationships if you make a habit of this. And here's a crazy idea. If you can, try to go beyond just gratitude. So what you're happy about that's really benefiting you in some way, and move to finding the beauty in everything. And I mean everything. Look for beauty even in the potential challenges that you may be facing in your life, because it's hiding there somewhere. I guarantee it. And the last step of Adam is to meditate. I know many of us struggle with this. I know I did. And remember earlier when we were talking about these negative thought loops and how our mind was this filter for how we experience the world? So how do we fix these negative thoughts? Sort of what's the solution? And it's tricky because pointing out the nature and quality of our mind is like trying to tell a fish about water. Our minds are so close to us that it can be hard to actually step back and notice them. And I think meditation is a way of training our awareness so that, like fish, we can become increasingly aware of the water we are swimming in. If you're brand new to meditation, it can be a little bit intimidating. That's why we suggest a form of mindfulness that we call sensory meditation. So a few years ago, my wife Kelly and I took a transcendental meditation course. Now, transcendental meditation is a very specific form of meditation that involves using a mantra as sort of your object of attention, like the centering part of it. It's kind of intense and you actually need to be taught by a guide. And for me, it kind of worked, kind of didn't, but I never really found it super easy. But luckily, a few weeks after we took that course, we traveled down to Mexico. So every morning we'd have this routine where we'd walk down to the beach and there was this little dock that sort of overlooked the ocean. And we just noticed each day, like we just noticed our senses. We noticed the way the waves were breaking up against the shore. We could smell the salt water. We could feel the mist hitting our skin. And we just got to the point where we both agreed, let's just close our eyes and try and meditate for a second, but not focused on our mantra, but just focused on our senses. And we went one at a time. We spent a minute or two really just honing in on the smell of the salt water. And then we actually tasted, just opened up our mouth and we actually could taste the salt in the water, in the mist when it hit us, on the beach. And we both kind of realized that we actually had stumbled into a meditative state by accident, just by paying attention to what our senses were experiencing. And now we call this sensory meditation, and it's a super simple concept. It's a form of mindfulness and meditation that we believe anyone can do. You don't need a guru and you don't need to take a course. So here's how it works. So pick a sensation. I think that sound and touch are probably the easiest, but any one of the 5 senses can work. And I just want you to pay attention to that sensation. So close your eyes, sit comfortable, and just notice it. You don't need to strain. You don't need to try hard. Just notice it. Just stay with it. Keep noticing it. And I think inevitably, you're going to get lost in thought without realizing. And I think this is normal. At some point, you'll probably remember that you're supposed to be meditating and celebrate this moment, the moment that you wake up from your daydream and remember that you're supposed to be meditating. Resist the urge to sort of berate yourself. This waking up is actually success. But then return your attention to whichever sensation that you chose. And that's it. Pretty simple, right? If you like, you can do a sensory scan. You can move one by one through each of your senses, noticing them carefully. Maybe you're going to start with sound, and then you move to smell, then you move to sight, then touch, etc. And here's why it works. When you meditate like this, you're gradually training your mind to be increasingly present. Instead of being lost in thought without realizing it, you're going to eventually come to enjoy the space between your thoughts. You're going to recognize that these thoughts can come and go really all the time, but you don't have to choose to go along for the ride. Eventually, this is going to bleed over into the rest of your life. You're going to have more control. You can tackle your day with a heightened awareness and intentionality. Starting your day with even 5 to 10 minutes of sensory meditation can have ripple effects of awareness throughout the rest of your day. That's the morning routine, Adam. Now, it's intentionally flexible because everyone is different. Maybe you're going to want to do breath work or yoga. Maybe you want to journal. Maybe you want to pray, or maybe you want to lift weights or run. And we've got some exciting things to talk to you about in our move training coming up. The specifics are up to you. The important thing is the routine. Committing to starting each day the same way with Adam is going to have enormous effects on your well-being, your physical and mental health. So give it a shot over these next 40 days. That's your homework for this week. Start tomorrow by implementing the Adam routine. Mark an X in your mad calendar for each day that you do it and try not to break the chain. I have 3 boys and as their dad, I give them what they now call life lessons. So over the past 10 to 15 years, one of the most important ones that I've given to them is You happen to the day instead of letting the day happen to you. That's it for this module. We'll see you back here next week for the next layer of the H40 sprint. It's called Eat, and it's going to be way easier than you think it is to eat in a way that makes your mind and body stronger. Thanks for being a part of this.